Valentine colored.
M. D'Avrigny carried the science of divination almost to a miraculous extent, for he was one of the physicians who always work upon the body through the mind.
No, she replied, it is for my poor grandmother. You know the calamity that has happened to us, do you not? I know nothing, said M. d'Avrigny. Alas, said Valentine, restraining her tears, my grandfather is dead.
M. de Saint-Méran?
Yes. Suddenly? From an apoplectic stroke. An apoplectic stroke? Repeated the doctor. Yes, and my poor grandmother fancies that her husband, whom she never left, has called her, and that she must go and join him.
Oh, M. d'Avrigny, I beseech you, do something for her.
Where is she? In her room with the notary. And M. Noirtier? Just as he was, his mind perfectly clear, but the same incapability of moving or speaking. And the same love for you, eh, my dear child? Yes, said Valentine, he was very fond of me. Who does not love you? Valentine smiled sadly. What are your grandmother's symptoms? An extreme nervous excitement and a strangely agitated sleep. She fancied this morning in her sleep that her soul was hovering above her body, which she at the same time watched. It must have been delirium, she fancies, too, that she saw a phantom enter her chamber and even heard the noise it made on touching her glass. It is singular, said the doctor, I was not aware that Madame de Saint-Méran was subject to such hallucinations. It is the first time I ever saw her in this condition, said Valentine, and this morning she frightened me so that I thought her mad, and my father, who you know is a strong-minded man, himself appeared deeply impressed. We will go and see, said the doctor, what you tell me seems very strange. The notary here descended, and Valentine was informed that her grandmother was alone. Go upstairs, she said to the doctor. And you? Oh, I dare not. She forbade my sending for you, and, as you say, I am myself agitated, feverish and out of sorts. I will go and take a turn in the garden to recover myself. The doctor pressed Valentine's hand, and while he visited her grandmother, she descended the steps. We need not say which portion of the garden was her favorite walk. After remaining for a short time in the parterre surrounding the house, and gathering a rose to place in her waist or hair, she turned into the dark avenue which led to the bench, then from the bench she went to the gate. As usual, Valentine strolled for a short time among her flowers, but without gathering them. The mourning in her heart forbade her assuming this simple ornament, though she had not yet had time to put on the outward semblance of woe. She then turned towards the avenue. As she advanced she fancied she heard a voice speaking her name. She stopped astonished, then the voice reached her ear more distinctly, and she recognized it to be that of Maximilian. Chapter 73. The Promise. It was, indeed, Maximilian Morel, who had passed a wretched existence since the previous day. With the instinct peculiar to lovers he had anticipated after the return of Madame de Saint-Méran and the death of the Marquis, that something would occur at M. de Villefort's in connection with his attachment for Valentine. His presentiments were realized, as we shall see, and his uneasy forebodings had goaded him pale and trembling to the gate under the chestnut trees. Valentine was ignorant of the cause of this sorrow and anxiety, and as it was not his accustomed hour for visiting her, she had gone to the spot simply by accident or perhaps through sympathy. Morel called her, and she ran to the gate. "You here at this hour?" said she. "Yes, my poor girl," replied Morel, "I come to bring and to hear bad tidings." "This is, indeed, a house of mourning," said Valentine. "Speak, Maximilian, although the cup of sorrow seems already full." "Dear Valentine," said Morel, endeavoring to conceal his own emotion, "listen, I entreat you, what I am about to say is very serious." "When are you to be married?" "I will tell you all," said Valentine, "from you I have nothing to conceal." This morning the subject was introduced, and my dear grandmother, on whom I depended as my only support, not only declared herself favorable to it, but is so anxious for it, that they only await the arrival of M. d'Épinay, and the following day the contract will be signed. A deep sigh escaped the young man, who gazed long and mournfully at her he loved. "Alas," replied he, It is dreadful thus to hear my condemnation from your own lips. The sentence is passed, and, in a few hours, will be executed. It must be so, and I will not endeavor to prevent it. But, since you say nothing remains but for M. D'Épinay to arrive that the contract may be signed, and the following day you will be his, tomorrow you will be engaged to M. D'Épinay, for he came this morning to Paris. Valentine uttered a cry. I was at the house of Monte Cristo an hour since, said Morel. We were speaking, he of the sorrow your family had experienced, and I of your grief, when a carriage rolled into the courtyard. Never, till then, had I placed any confidence in presentiments, but now I cannot help believing them. Valentine. At the sound of that carriage I shuddered. Soon I heard steps on the staircase, which terrified me as much as the footsteps of the commander did Don Juan.